What's going on, everybody? In the last video, we put the new digital dash into the Elise. That video is also kind of a walkthrough, so if you're doing the same one and you need a few pointers, I'll put a link to that video down in the description below. Today, we're doing something very similar. This is another real popular modification for your Elise or Exige, and that's going to be installing some brand new carbon fiber side scoops. Are brought to us by our good friends over at GRP. If you've been following along, you'll know that Greg has been one of our big supporters, and we really appreciate all of the quality, affordable stuff that he brings to the Lotus community. Now anyway, when you get your box, you're going to have your side scoops with mesh already installed, and you're going to have a package with your brackets. I have one side loose over here already. And if you ordered the wide side scoops, you're gonna have some spacers that come along with it. That's really the only difference between the wide scoops and the stock style scoops. One thing on the wide scoops, they look awesome on the car, but if you've bought the standard size side scoops, it's okay to be wrong. I understand, and I can totally appreciate why you might assume incorrectly that they look better, but they don't. The wide ones are the way to go. They look awesome. Once you tear into your package, you might be a little intimidated. There are quite a few small pieces, but trust me, it's actually pretty straightforward. This loose kind of double bracket, it's going to hold your very front mounting point there. This L-shaped bracket, it's going to get your top left, top right, whichever side you're working with. And its hook bracket, it's going to hit this hole right here. Now we're going to take a look at where these go. Since my car is already taken apart, I can't show you these steps, but it's very simple. Pull your wheel off, take your wheel well out, fender liner out, and if you still have your stock slates or stock scoop, you want to go ahead and pull those out. There's a couple tabs here for the slates, and then you just have a few push clips and holes for your fender liner, so that's very easy. So back to this first kind of confusing clip that we're looking at. It goes in this hole right here. It's pretty easy to work with. Since this has a square hinge on it, it's going to go ahead and just lip right there. This piece sandwiches inside of that hole, so you want to line that up, get it sandwiched in there, and then you're going to tighten that up, leave it kind of loose for adjustability's sake afterwards. So like I said, that's your very first one, very easy. And the rest are even easier. The second clip, it's kind of L-shaped one. GRP logo wants to face outward, so this tab right here mounts to the stock scoop hole here, and then the second part mounts inside to the stock scoop hole there, or stock slate hole there. Again, very easy to do. And your last one, this little L clip here, or little hinge clip here, this bolts directly into the scoop first, and it's actually going to hinge right there. So your first step is to mount both of these, then you'll mount your last hinge clip onto the scoop directly, and then you're going to loosely align everything up exactly how you want, and then you're going to tighten everything down. I did take a minute and I painted my brackets black. You can't really see them from outside the car, but just in case, I threw a light coat of black paint on there. They're probably going to get scratched up during the install, but it's not that big of a deal. This is our first bracket. I'm going to put it in first because it's kind of the trickiest to get in there. It's not too hard, but it is a little tricky, especially since I've widened these holes here. These are going to be a little bit bigger than everybody else's. I did this so I could access this bolt without taking the interior out. Anyway, this is what bolts to your scoop. This bracket lays flush here, and this one wedges inside of there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this one on first. You do want to have this on here loose as well as the other two, just because there's going to be a lot of adjustment. There's also going to be tons of variances between each car. Yours is going to be totally different from mine. Like the other side of my car, this body line for the rear clam where it meets the side skirt is totally off, and we've adjusted it effortlessly and endlessly, and it just hasn't worked out very well. So leave this loose. You're gonna have to play with these quite a bit once you get the scoop on there, just to make it fit exactly like you like. So your next bracket, the one that says GRP on it, is going to bolt to the existing hole for the old slate grills and the hole where the rear clam touches the side skirt here. Just like our first bracket, make sure this one has a little bit of play in it. This one's going to be very important with getting it lined up along this edge right here. Now it's time for the third and final bracket. This one's actually a hook, so it's going to hook underneath the side skirt to hold the bottom of the scoop in place. If you have the wide scoop, make sure that you have your spacer and your bolt, and you're going to put those on now. Now this is our final step, and unfortunately it's going to be the most difficult. The issue we're going to run into is this scoop fitting along this body line clean and flush with an OEM-like fit is almost impossible, simply because whatever car this was molded off of is going to be a lot different than mine and a lot different than yours. These cars are almost 15 years old, so the engines have come out, the clams have been replaced, and because of that, that's why we've left these nice and loose. That's going to let us adjust on the fly. What you want to do first, get your scoop mocked up against the body. Don't worry about this lower bracket just yet. Just mock this up against the body about how you like it. Then peer through these two holes. Make sure that you're going to be able to thread your bolt all the way through to your bracket. Now it's likely you're going to have to bend or move these brackets around a little bit. On the other side of the car, I even took them all completely off and put them back on, and the second time I was way happier with the fitment of the scoop than I was the first time. I cut it out, but this top one just took me 30 minutes of fiddling with to get it to fit. I had to really bend the bracket. I had to play with it quite a bit to make it work. I don't have the other ones in yet, but you can see how clean this line is already. Comparing it to the other side, it's way better. So we have this side in, and it looks okay, but it's not nearly as nice as the other side. We have this little gap here, and you can see it just doesn't fit nearly as well. So I'd say the best tool, even though it's cliche, the best tool at your disposal to get this to look good is just be patient. Sure as you saw, these last two, they only took me about 3 minutes versus I actually spent 30 minutes messing with this one. Can't see inside there too well, but I really bent it and messed with it a lot to make it fit. But this isn't quite perfect. I'll have to play with it a little bit more. We can see where the body line, it kind of hangs over that body line. Honestly, I prefer that side to the other side. It's a little bit cleaner. Let's close the door, make sure it fits just fine. It's pretty close. So while these were not hard to install whatsoever, it is kind of time consuming. Like I said, if you're doing this at home, just be patient, finesse the brackets. It's gonna look really good when you're finished. If you have an Elise and you wanna get a set of these, I'll post a link in the description below directly to where you can buy your own set. Greg also has a really good PDF walkthrough that you can print out to follow along with. I hope you got a little bit of use out of this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.